The next step in our process is to reduce the volume of data down to a much smaller size in order to make it easier to manage and to do analysis. As you see, when you try to zoom in with all of your layers open, it takes a little longer because it's constantly having to render all of that information associated with each of those layers. One thing to note is within the layers table of contents panel, we are able to click and drag and change the order in which elements are drawn on our map. As you can see, moving this will then change what we are actually being seen on top of one another. To turn off layers, we can simply click the checkbox next to them. To change their appearance, double click within their little icon here, and it'll open up a dialog box where then you can change based on a color, or you can also do different types of textures that are available as well. There are many different options within this. Clicking Style Reference will open up a dialog box that then will allow you to choose between to add additional elements to this selection to your left. So as you can see, through adding these different ones, now I have limestone, flint, rock. So really getting to know this is very valuable and could help potentially some of your representation. I'll click OK, and as you can see, I left it on that, which made it turn that color, and you can actually I could change the color of it if I wanted to by doing that, so I can have all of it green. I will go down and I'll just choose this simple hatch here, and I will turn it a light gray. So now we have our file looking like so. The next step is to then begin to select the features that we want. There are multiple ways of selecting features in GIS. The first and most basic way is using the Select Features tool located here in the Toolbars panel. Simply clicking this, you can see that then the arrow changes and with this little box around it. By simply clicking within each shape, it then selects that shape, and we know that something is selected because of the blue outline that goes around it. In addition, once an item is selected, you can then deselect that item, clicking the Clear Selection Feature tool located here. In addition, something else to be aware of is that even when a feature is turned off, its selection still remains. And so it's important to clear all selections once you are finished doing the part of your analysis or dealing with that selected feature. And so unfortunately, this method doesn't really give us a refined or really easy way of really knowing what we're selecting. Rather, we're just clicking and picking at random. Ideally, another method is by going over to your Layers panel and right-clicking to open up all the options associated with the layer. Each layer has this associated with it by just simply right-clicking it. What we want to do is we want to open up the attribute table for our Topo Basin KC layer. Within this, we can now see all the data associated with that shapefile. In addition, we can see the items that have been selected here. They're highlighted in blue. If we wanted to only see the items that are selected, we could change how we view this down at the bottom of the window. By clicking this, we now isolate the selected feature in its own window without anything else being visible. Fortunately, that is not the watershed that we are looking for, the Thornton Creek watershed. And so we can, once again up here, you see we have similar tools. We can clear that selection. So I'm going to clear it. I'm going to go look for the Thornton Creek watershed. It is number 85 here. We can read it right here, Thornton Creek. We can select this feature by simply clicking the item here. We can see now the item is selected in our map. I'm going to close this. It's the item still being selected. And now I want to isolate this item by itself. There are two ways of doing this. The first way is by right-clicking, going down to Selection, and Create Layer from Selected Feature. This will automatically add an additional layer at the top of your table of contents that now is represented by this new feature. We can then single click it and change the name of this. I'm just going to call it New Watershed. One thing to note is that if you plan on editing this feature in any way in the future, this method is not ideal because this item is still associated with the Topo Basin KC layer. And so in order for this layer to be visible, we will always have to have this layer on this map. Otherwise, if we remove this layer too will be removed because it is a selection directly from this. And so there's still a relationship here. I'm going to turn this off. Our other option is to right click, go down to data, and to export this data as its own data shapefile. This will bring up the export data dialog box, and at top you can identify what features from our shapefile we want to export. For our cases, we want to do selected features. As you can see, there's multiple options here. And we want to identify the location for where we want that file to be saved. Once again, save it in the same folder with all your other data. And I'm going to call mine Thornton Creek Watershed. I've already saved this. And then save as type. We want to make sure that this is shapefile because we want it just to be by itself as an individual shapefile. So make sure that this is selected. And then click Save. For me, it's going to ask me, do I wish to replace this? I'm going to hit yes. Then I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to ask me if I want to add this layer. And I'm going to hit yes. So this is a very basic way of selecting and then exporting data in your map. This is encouraged for to export the data for all future kind of efforts in this process in order to make sure that you're not editing or manipulating the original data.